One Piece, Bleach, Naruto. These are the big three. Now in recent times, we've had stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero, and some even said Black Clover as well, that have stepped up as the so-called modern big three. We now have another contestant to join that roster, and its name is Kagurabachi. Now for a little context before we look into the first chapter, brief look online, and by the sounds of it, Kagurabachi is about a character, I'm not sure of the name, I believe it's Chihiro, and he's basically a swordsmith apprentice and the son of a swordsmith as well, who sets out on a path of revenge against a Yakuza group. Now it does sound interesting, but we shall dive straight into chapter 1. The first panel was in colour, and it actually shows them here forging what I assume would be a katana. First few panels here, and then chapter 1 is called Mission. There we go, and clearly someone's been cut down with the katana here, and it's basically saying that forging, also known as Taran, is an important process in making Japanese swords. And we see here Kagurabachi. I believe it's actually, I think that's the main character there that's cutting everyone down, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, here we can see a couple of people outside here, and basically one of them speaking to Chihiro, so I'm guessing the boy is Chihiro, and is basically saying that the sun's bright today. So yeah, they've noticed that it's sunny, and they're outside. It looks like they're about to go in somewhere, and then you can see inside that building that they go in, it's a forge here. So, well, it looks like it appears to be a forge, and basically they're starting to give us a bit of a brief background here. The dad's name is Kunigishi Rokuhira. Kunishige Rokuhira, I think. I've probably butchered that as well, but we'll figure it out. And it says he's the most famous swordsmith in the land, and he makes a special katana of his own unique method. Okay, so clearly he's some legendary swordsmith, everyone knows about him, and clearly he trains rigorously every day with him, as we can see them here beating the metal, trying to learn the ways of his father, and his dad's apparently in serious mode right now. And then here we see a fishbowl, and basically saying it's way different from his usual self, and he's just talking to his dad, and the breakfast is ready. His dad thanks him for that, and he asks him basically that you were listening to the pet fish just now, and people when you do talking. Okay, so perhaps his dad's got a screw loose, okay, he's talking fish. But moving on, we do see here that they're now sitting down to eat a meal together, and basically apparently the goldfish just want to dedicate themselves to learning, so apparently he can somehow communicate with the goldfish, maybe, or I don't know quite how. But then we see them back in the forge smacking down on some iron once again, and he says, come to think of it, dad's the one who brought these little guys here, so clearly his dad got the goldfish. And then we see them back in the house, and his dad comes in and he tells him basically get ready to freak out, because he's clearly got something to show him. And Chihiro doesn't look that bothered at all about it, but he's saying he scored them back on the way from the sword polishers. And fresh goldfish, so it's how he got the goldfish, some fresh goldfish. And Chihiro's not excited at all by the looks of it, and he says, Dad, why, who do you think going to end up taking care of them? It ain't going to be you, is it? So he knows that at the end of the day the responsibility is going to fall to him anyway. And apparently the guy told him, Chihiro's dad, that the goldfish are good luck, and of course he believed him. Maybe he's gullible as well. And he says that the red one attracts good fortune, black one wards off evil, and the three-coloured one, he says it's supposed to be totally amazing. Anyway, moving on to the next page, he says they're good luck, basically. So now they have some goldfish as pets as well. He's bought them anyway, and basically Chihiro asks him, basically says to him, because he's calling them fresh fish, and it makes it sound like he's going to eat them, but he's not at all. And basically he's making a weird face now in this next bit, and he says that basically when his dad makes the face, it's like he's got an idea, so he's decided to take care of them, takes them in anyway, you know, what his dad wants, why not? And it says that there's just another responsibility for him. His dad is a real handful, but you know what, it's what it is, he'll do what he can. And then we cut back to them in the forge, smacking some more iron here, and they actually start to bend it by the looks of it, or snap it in two, I think. Yeah, because it looked like they try to split it down the middle by the looks of it into, maybe they're making ingots or something. And then someone appears to show up at the forge by the look of it, and his dad says to him basically if they want to stop for lunch soon, and his dad points out to him that his arms are getting quite big. He says bigger than his as well, and starts laughing, joking around with him. Clearly he's a joker, his dad. And then this person walks through the door, asks for souvenirs, because he's beat apparently Shiba by the looks of it. The dad says, Shiba, and he asks him if he never thought about calling first, which he apologises to how he's doing. Dad asks him how was town, and he said not peaceful at all. And then this is apparently a old friend of his dad, Mr. Shiba, who stops by sometimes. He's come here to feed the goldfish, and he's basically telling Chiyo how he grew up, and he says, yeah, you've grown up, but I'm still bigger. And he's basically telling him that his dad still got him slaving away at the forge, which is he's basically, yeah, that's the case. And he was pointing out that his dad is a great teacher, and he just mentioned to him that 15 years ago in the Seitei War, the Seitei War was more famous than guys like me who actually fought in the battlefield. I think he's talking about his dad here, and he's basically saying that he's not exaggerating to say that the epic swords he made ended the war. So it was basically saying it was his swordsmithing skills that finished the war, essentially, because he made the best swords out there, by the sounds of it, and he's telling him not to forget that, and that his dad's a hero. He saved a lot of people with them swords. And of course, Chihiro, by the looks of it, has heard it 100 times, so he's sort of starting to get sick of it. And then this Mr. Shiba dude says, yeah, well, you always look happy to hear it, clearly being sarcastic or joking around with him. And he's telling him that he's a hard worker, and I'm sure he's going to turn out like his dad one day. And he says, yeah, basically he's heard that all the time as well. Anyway, his dad looks like I don't know whether he's washing the pots or cooking something else or something like that, and he tells him that he's got one he ain't heard before, and he tells him that he talks too much, then sets off. And then his dad looks annoyed, so Chihiro basically asks him what's up, and he tells him that you're going to be 15 soon, and if he wants to be a real swordsmith, it's about time he shows him the stuff that ain't so bright and shiny. So I guess the real hard work, or the tougher bits of swordsmithing, maybe. And he basically says that that's all, and Chihiro tells him to do it, and he's got his head to the side, he's clearly annoyed about something, and he basically tells him that, look, just so you know, I'm not joking about becoming a swordsmith, I'm serious. So he clearly wants to follow in his father's footsteps, and he basically says that, yeah, I know. And then he walks in, and he walks into a room and he shows him a katana, and he goes to grab the katana and basically just says that there's a few of them stored in the basement, mostly katanas that he made before Chihiro was born, and it appears to be a katana that was used in the war. And he's basically saying that how katanas have always saved lives and slashed open new eras, so they've always ended wars but most likely started them as well. And he basically says that, I'm sure you know, they are tools for killing people, and basically as the people who make them, they're complicit in the deaths that these swords can cause. And basically saying that if they get in the wrong hands, it's going to be bad shit. As someone who makes swords, you have to keep in mind they can always kill people. Anyway, he basically says to them that the katana should be wielded by those who are dedicating to vanquish evil, protect the weak. So good people with good morals should be chosen to make swords, essentially. And he's basically saying that you need to have principles as well as accountability here, as he's sort of sheathing the sword back. And he says to him that one day he's going to sell his first katana, and when you hand someone a katana, basically those two heavyweights are going to be on your shoulders, and he's asking him if he can carry the burden, to which he says he doesn't know, but he is committed to taking it on. So he is dedicated to following his father's footsteps, clearly, to be a badass swordsmith. And he basically said, alright, cool, let's get back to work. And that's it. He says, yeah, if that's how you feel, all that's left is for him to believe in him. And that's his dad. And then they walk away. His dad walks back out, and Chihiro tells him to clean the mess he's made as he's walking out. Oh, sorry. And then we have some sort of city or village town at some point, and someone says enough. Kill him. I don't know if they're referring to the dad or not, but with that, because this is a 55-page chapter 1, bloody massive chapter, we're going to leave it at that. So I'm going to have to make this a multiple part 1, but that'll be it for part 1. So thank everyone for tuning in. Again, please, if you do like the content, subscribe, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one.